Hi guys, so we're going to get into Super Brain. I started a little bit late, so we only have an hour. I can't say too much, but here we go.
Just like Jim. Yet Jim had no idea that his dream would come true. He would be an honorary X-Man. What inspired Jim was how every member of the X-Men had a hidden power to give to the world. A superpower that to develop, they trained at a special school. A place where lost, lonely souls could find a home and find their super friends. They call this Charles Xavier School for the Gifted, a place that would transform them from an outcast into the X-Men superheroes they were born to be. At 9 years old, Jim read in the comic books that the exact school that the X-Men were in was based in Westchester, New York, the same place he grew up. So every weekend he would jump on his bike and ride around the neighborhood from dusk till dawn, looking for the X-Men school, so he could find his super friends. Yet, as the weeks turned to months, Jim came to realize that the super school didn't really exist, and the boy with the broken brain was alone. By the age of 18, he'd reached a breaking point. School had become a constant struggle. He just wanted to run away. At that time, Jim had a friend who said, "Hey, why don't you come over with me over the weekend? I'm going to go visit my family in California. Come with, get some space, get some perspective." Jim went, and as his friend's father was walking Jim around the property, he asked Jim a really innocent question, a question you'd ask any 18-year-old. But for Jim, it was the worst question possible. How's school? Jim broke down. He just starts crying at this complete stranger because of all the pressure he's been facing. He opens up and tells this man his whole life story about the brain injury and the challenges he had growing up with learning difficulties. How he's going to disappoint his parents and be a bad role model for his younger brother and younger sister. He looks at Jim and says, "Why are you in school? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? What do you want to share?" Jim didn't have any answers. He'd never asked himself before. So the dad pulls out a journal, tears out a couple of pages of paper, hands it to Jim with a pen, and he makes him write down his answers. His answers to, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? What do you want to share with the world? When he was done, he starts folding up the sheets of paper to put it in his back pocket. The dad grabs the paper right out of Jim's hand, and Jim's freaking out because he wasn't expecting anyone to see his dreams, his fantasies, his goals. The dad starts reading these to himself, then looks at Jim and says, "Jim, you are this close to every single thing on that list." Jim thinks, there's no way. Give me 10 lifetimes. I'm not going to crack that list. And the dad then takes his fingers and puts them on both sides of Jim's head. Right here, he says, between your ears is the key. It's your mind. It's your brain. That's the key to unlocking the dream life. He walks Jim to a room of his home, and it's wall to wall, ceiling to floor, covered in books. Jim starts looking at the titles of the books, and they are biographies of incredible men and women throughout history, and some really early personal growth books. He goes, "Jim, I want you to read one of these books per week." Jim's thinking, have you not heard anything I've said? I have these learning difficulties and all of these learning problems. And suddenly, as if sensing his thoughts, the friend's father stops, and he pulls out all of Jim's goals, dreams, his bucket list, if you will. This time, he starts unfolding the paper and reading it to Jim, his goals, his dreams, out loud. And there's something about hearing your dreams coming from a stranger's voice, enchanted out into the universe. It shook his spirit. It shook his soul. Inspired, Jim goes back home and commits to reading one book per week. Yet, as the books start piling up, Jim still finds himself struggling to learn, struggling to remember, struggling to focus and concentrate. And pretty soon, he starts to despair. And that's when he saw this mug of tea. And it had an incredible genius named Albert Einstein, and a quote below Einstein that said, "The same level of thinking that created the problem won't solve the problem." And it hit Jim like a lightning bolt. It made him ask a new question. What's my problem? What's my actual problem? And the answer came surprisingly easily. Well, I'm a slow learner. I learn very slowly. I have a slow brain. Okay, so how do I think differently about this problem? Well, what if I could learn to learn faster? Right? What if I could learn how to learn? And Jim was like a man possessed. He began to discover everything he could about the brain, how to learn, how our memory works. And what he found out is that everything he thought he knew about the brain was false. How science used to think that after childhood, the brain could not change, and that our brain power would always be fixed and limited, when in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. Jim discovered that through neurogenesis and neuroplasticity, as we grow older, our brain's capacity can grow better. We can create new brain cells, new connections, and do things that are absolutely extraordinary. Even genetics, IQ, age, and injuries like the one Jim suffered, which can lead to forgetfulness, brain fog, learning challenges, can be overcome. But we just aren't taught how. If anything, we were taught a lie that our brain power is predetermined. But the truth is that there are a handful of tools, tips, tricks, and mental training protocols that anyone can easily learn that can give you seemingly superhuman cognitive abilities. Memory, problem solving, creativity, rapid learning, recall, speed reading, optimal brain states. One by one, Jim mastered them all. And the more he learned about how to learn, the faster he was able to learn. In fact, his progress was exponential. Over the next few years, he refined his skills, developed his own curriculum, and began to share his secrets of his success. Fast forward to today, and Jim Kwik is now the brain coach to some of the leading minds on the planet. People like Bill Clinton, Oprah, Richard Branson, Larry Page, Will Smith. And for almost 3 decades, Jim's been teaching students worldwide, including Fortune 500 CEOs and Hollywood celebrities, to improve their memory, read faster, and study effectively. Things that school never taught them, like how to be more creative, how to solve problems with lightning speed, how to focus like a laser or become hyper-productive, what to eat to maintain optimal brain health as you age, the daily habits and routines to keep your mind operating at its sharpest level, how to fix forgetfulness so we can remember everything from speeches we have to give to important facts and figures, new vocabulary and terminology, daily tasks, even learning how to remember names so that you can open doors to some of the most important and incredible opportunities. Just like it opened the doors to lead Jim to this incredible photo. Here's Jim to tell this amazing story.
So I remember this person's name, and that led to me speaking at 20th Century Fox for this chairman of 20th Century Fox and his executive team. And so I did my very best talk, and I don't know what it was because I was in this playful state. It was a Friday, and walking into the boardroom, you saw like pictures of like Avatar and Star Wars that put me in that state, right? And what happened was, it was my very best presentation, and afterwards the chairman looks at me and says, Jim, I want to give you a tour of the 20th Century lot, and it's a closed lot in Hollywood. And when we were walking around the film sets, I noticed there was this movie poster of Wolverine, and I was like, oh, I can't wait for that new movie to come out. And he picks up his phone, and 5 minutes later, I'm in the Fox Theater with 3D glasses watching Hugh Jackman fight all these super ninjas. I mean, it was amazing. And afterwards, he's like, Jim, how was the movie? And I was like, oh, it was so good, thank you so much. And it's like, you don't know this, but I grew up with learning challenges, and I couldn't read as a kid, and I taught myself how to read by reading comic books. That was my whole infatuation with comic books and superheroes. And I telling him, I was like, my favorite comic books growing up were actually Wolverine and the X-Men, because not because they were the most powerful, it's because they didn't fit in. And I'm telling this to Chairman of Fox. He's like, Jim, I didn't know you like superheroes. Do you want to go to Comic-Con? And you know what Comic-Con is?
Right. Comic-Con is it was one of the biggest events, most popular events in America. Everybody, thousands of people come together to celebrate comics.
Exactly, and they dress up, and it's really wild. And it's in San Diego. And I was like, when's Comic-Con? He's like, it's today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And he was like, do you want to go? And I was like, and I go from a 9-year-old to a 99-year-old. And this is a lesson in accelerated learning, because it's not chronological age. It's the age of our mind and the age of our heart, right? Our spirit. And I start thinking about all these excuses, because I was a kid, and I'm thinking, no, now I'm 99. It's like, oh, how do I get to San Diego on a Friday? Oh, I have all these meetings here in LA. Oh, I have nothing to wear. Oh, there's gonna be traffic. Oh, I have to wait on lines. And so interesting how adults talk their way out of opportunity, right? And so I always tell people, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them, right? People are always saying, oh, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm just not, my memory is not good. I'm getting too old. And again, if you argue for your limits, you get to keep them. So he's looking at me. He's like, Jim, do you want to go or not? I'm going tomorrow. I was like, oh, the chairman of Fox is going. I want to go with you. So the next morning, he picks me up, Saturday morning, and we go. And instead of driving, we get on his plane. And I swear to you, Vishen, the entire cast of X-Men is on that plane. I mean, think about, I'm 9 years old in my mind now again. And there's literally, I don't even see like Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman. I see I see Wolverine and Professor X. Right. And I'm sitting between Jennifer Lawrence and Halle Berry, and we're going to Comic-Con, right? And we go and we spend an incredible day together. And on the way back, the chairman of Fox is like, how was your day? I was like, this is the best day ever. Thank you so much. He was like, I have something else for you. I was like, I don't want anything else. What can I do for you? He was like, Jim, they really loved you. How would you like to go on set? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we're filming the new X-Men movie in Montreal.
Wow.
Another 30 days. How would you like to go? I was like, oh, I've never been on set. I would love to go. What can I do for you? And he's like, Jim, just teach them what you taught us. Teach them how to unlock their superpowers. Teach them how to speed read their scripts, how to memorize their lines. And I was like, I can totally do that. The next morning, next Sunday, we're on what they call the X-Jet going to Montreal. And I got to share with my heroes. And I got to see them on set come alive. Wow. And when I got back home, that photograph was waiting for me. This photograph of me and the entire cast of X-Men. And even better than that, though, was this note from the chairman. And this is world class. Big heart. He says, Jim, thank you so much for sharing your superpowers with all of us. I know since you've been a child, you've been looking for your superhero school. Here's your class photo.
Wow.
And
Jim, what an incredible story.
I even get goosebumps even thinking about it. I call them truth bumps, and really that put me on this quest for how do we, where's our superhero school? And that's why I love partnering with you with what we're doing, because when are often people having conversations around superpowers and genius and meta learning? I mean, all these skills that will give people greater levels of performance and peace of mind.
This is why we decided to partner with Jim Kwik to create Superbrain, a new course on Mindvalley where we learn how to learn. It's a 30-day program to help improve our learning ability. New students are going to learn one of Jim's advanced techniques every single day for 30 days. And things get stacked on, so each technique leads to another. At the end of 30 days, the way you function as a human being completely shifts. It boosts career success. It boosts performance at work. For students, it makes your schoolwork go so much easier. It changes the way you function in this world, because every single day we unlock more and more of our brain power. To those interested in learning more, click the link below to sign up now. Now, new students can enroll today and actually unlock a special discount only available on this page as a thank you for investing the last couple of minutes with us. Here's Jim to tell you a little bit more about Superbrain.
Okay, so a lot of people know that I grew up with learning challenges, learning difficulties, and it's if you didn't go through that, it's really hard to imagine what it's like to struggle for all those years. And so for me, when I learned how to compensate and going from below normal to maybe super level, I can't help but help other people. My whole thing is no brain left behind. No brain left behind. Mm-hmm. And your brain is your most valuable supercomputer. It is your superpower between your ears, this 3-pound matter that could really, it influences your health. It influences your career. It influences your relationships, your finances, everything that you hold dear.
Your brain, but yes, absolutely, your brain is going to help you survive. But also taking care of your heart. Your heart, especially in China, they think the brain is the most important tool. It is the most important tool in terms of learning, but the most important tool is the heart. If the heart stops beating, the brain won't function. Looking at the movie, it's true. That's it. But you can't live without your heart. So take care of your heart, and your brain will follow.
But it doesn't come with an owner's manual. So we created this Quest program just for you. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is when I first learned these skills 25 years ago and I started teaching it, my very first student, she read 30 books. And
I'm sorry to interrupt you, and also like people that are driven by the mind alone don't have enough empathy. They don't have, that's what makes China more different from more cutthroat than America. America has a heart for people, and China doesn't really have that because they that's my guess, because just when people come from China or Vietnam or whatever, they have to develop that heart. When they seem to develop that heart when they come to this country, and when they hang around American people, they start to develop that compassion. But I don't feel like they were raised to have that compassion. They know to be careful, but they're creators. They make clothes. They're business people, so they're focused on, and that's how you can see the food that they put on their plates is filthy. It's literal. They don't think it's filthy. They think it's food. But you have to feed your heart and your body plant-based options in order for you to survive a long life. You might survive now because you whatever the animal's eating. In the fish, why you guys eat fish, sea creatures, is because you're surviving now because your body is still youthful, and it's still youthful, and so it still has more, like, you have a limited time before you can actually prove how long you are going to live. So your body's still young, but when you get older, that's where the real challenge begins. But here's the continuation of that. Sorry. Hold on. They eat certain plants or foods that you might not have access to because they come from the sea. But in the end, this animal can destroy you. Don't eat animals. Don't eat fish. Don't eat squid. Don't eat any of those things. People might convince you that it's right, but this planet was made to help you survive by going vegan. Adam and Eve were vegan until death entered into the world. That's when they started to eat. That's when they started to eat meat, because they were forced to leave the Garden of Eden, where they were surviving off of nothing but vegan foods. But this happened for a reason. This happened so that they can do research, so they can give birth and they can learn how to survive on their own. God is not going to give you everything. Just like a rich man will never give that cares about their son will never give their son everything without discipline. Discipline is absolutely important. Learning how to manage your finances is absolutely important. Being careful who you hand your finances to is absolutely important. Those are all things you have to think about, especially the children that their parents are dying left to right, because like Steve Jobs, and they failed because they weren't paying attention. They probably failed to do their part. Luckily, Steve Jobs hired a lot of employees that were trustworthy enough to stay in the business, or he has family members that know how to control the business long enough. But you can tell that they're stuck because they're not creating anything further than the what is it called, the stuff that they have out now. They're making small changes on the iPhone 16, you know what I mean? So probably because they're trying to earn more to create a bigger project, perhaps. But I feel like, yeah, they seem like they've reached a block somewhere, and that starts with what you eat. So in China, I want to get in and other countries, because you guys are the biggest creators in this world. Everything that we see here is made in China. Made in China doesn't. It was just because it was made in China doesn't mean it was designed in China. Meaning, when I say designed, I mean like sketched out, thought out. In America, that's what a lot of people did. I don't think they ever mentioned that. That's my guess, because what were the white people doing in America, right? Of course, they designed something, but they didn't have the tools to make it, so they send it to China, so Chinese people could make it, and they paid them. So I noticed that a lot of people say the brain is, man, I'm telling you, if your brain is gone, you're not going to survive either in this world. But you're still going to be breathing, but you're without your brain, you're just going to be sitting around the corner doing nothing. People are going to rape you, take everything from you, right? So that's why I encourage a lot of people not to do shrooms, not to do drugs. I encourage Rihanna to be careful on the roles that she takes, right? You have a powerful platform. Do not take the roles of people telling you, yeah, cartoons, Smurfs, things. You need to be an educational speaker. Don't be a distraction to people's brains. Children don't need to watch Smurfs all day, cartoons. They need to watch educational programs so they can learn. You can play and learn, right? You can ABC in a car, like, just educational. That's what I see a lot of, majority white people educate their kids through you know through cartoons and stuff. Watch educational channels. It's always a choice. So Smurfs doesn't have much education. I don't even just the minute I turn on that TV show, just because of Rihanna, I start literally feeling dizzy. It's crazy. I feel like I'm being targeted. You know what I mean? I'm like, this person is literally trying to make us get dizzy. And because I know people that have done drugs before, the minute you look at that world, and they using Rihanna, putting her in the middle of it so they can be like, here's your beautiful girl is here where the mushrooms are. So you can go and do mushrooms and think they're making you think that when you do mushrooms, you're going to see Rihanna. She's trying to be in your brain. She's distracting you from your education, right? Instead of going to school, you're going to want to do drugs. I hope she understands that. And if she doesn't understand that, this is the time to understand it. You have to say no to roles. Don't just take money, because people will earn more from your image than you have earned from the actual gig. And they will continue to earn from that movie because you're on there, but you got your paycheck, right? Of course, she keeps getting a piece of that check, but I mean, look at Elon Musk. He didn't spend a lot of his time watching Smurfs and movies. He spent a lot of his time, I'm pretty sure, making sure that people are designing his cars the way he drew them out. I haven't read all his books and movies and stories, but that's just someone that could give you a better example of how much more you can do with your time, how much more you can do with your billions, how much more you can do with your money, but the female industry chooses to and that's because of the male that's in their life, right? Your husband is the one that women were raised to listen and obey their husbands, right? And so when your husband just wants to give you children and give you air, but they don't understand those kids need to have a school. Like the kids that you have now are not your only children, right? The rest of the world, we need a president, we need a leader, we need leaders, as many leaders as we can get. Too many people in the presidential field want to be the only one. You can't do it all by yourself. That's where, like, you can tell that person is not a team player, right? Maybe because no one was there for him, and that person I'm talking about Trump. Maybe Trump felt alone. We have to be mature and get into the psychological. I don't know if the word is mindset, psychological aspect before making judgments. That's what makes you a mature adult, is understanding the psychology of a person and the behavior, why they're acting that way. Don't just look at them like an adult, like a stupid adult. Look at them as, remember their childhood as a child that never got to play, never got to have people time or me time, never got to be told they were good enough, always told. Because look at how much they tell Trump that he's horrible, right? Imagine living life and actually succeeding, even if you did it through theft. He's like, well, watch me be a bigger monster by taking everything from you guys. Because if you're smart, then how come you can't catch me? That's what they're going to say. How come you can't stop me? How come, behold, I'm the president? At the end of the day, who's sitting at that top with that pen is what we're saying, right? So before you start talking bad about Trump, you need to learn how to have the right skills and the right connections to beat him at his own game. I'm not saying he's playing games, but I'm just saying if he is, right? That's all you can do. Get up there.
30 days and remembered it all because she had a super brain. And you're thinking like, wow, that's amazing. How can you do that? And I wanted to ask her the same thing. Not how she did it. I know how she did it. I want to know why. Okay, because I find motivation is key to learning. Motivation is key. What is your motive to learn new things? In fact, what benefits would you get for going through this quest? How many better decisions can you make? How much more money can you make? How enriched can you make your health? And I wanted to find out for her what her motivation was. And I found out that her mother was dying of terminal cancer. Terminal cancer, was given 60 days to live, just 2 months to live by doctors. And the books she was reading were books to save her mother's life, books on health, books on wellness. And it was amazing because I said, I'll say prayers and thoughts. And, and I don't know what else I could do to be able to support you in this. She was like, Jim, I'm going to use everything I learned in this program to be able to apply, to learn all this stuff to help her. And 6 months later, I get a call from this young lady, and she's crying and crying and crying, and I can't get a word out of her. And I find out they're tears of joy that her mother not only survived, but is really getting better. She's starting to thrive. Doctors don't know how, they don't know why. They call it a miracle, but her mother attributed 100% to the great advice she got from her daughter, who learned it from all these books. And that's where I realized that if knowledge is power, learning is your superpower. Mm-hmm. And it's a superpower that we not only desire, but we really deserve. The world deserves more of us to be able to show up. And it shows up when we show up, specifically in our mind.
Jim, that's fantastic. What an incredible story. Now, I'd love for you to share with them some of the tools and the techniques that you've put into this program to give us this superpower.
Yeah, and so what we understand is that people lose focus after a little bit of time. So we made this program specifically about 15 to 20 minutes because they call it the Pomodoro technique, that after about 20, 25 minutes, our focus dips drastically. And so I always recommend people when they study or when they work to work in those bite-sized chunks because it's digestible. And the key to really making big transformation is consistency and challenge. Consistency and challenge. You can't go to the gym once.
And another thing, let me tell you guys something. What's going to activate your brain and make it a lot more effective in terms of learning is relaxing. You can't relax with tension. Tension is what makes you, it gives you, what is it called? It gives you a blockage. Tension blocks you from reading because you need to be relaxed. What people don't know is when you read, you're working your muscles. You're working muscles in your eyeballs. You're working muscles in certain things in your brain. And when those parts of your body are tense, when parts of your body is tense, you're going to be unable to read because have you ever had a shoulder, like a knot on your shoulder? That shit is so irritating to the point where it's like, damn, I can't even study. When you relax, reading is so pleasing. And just studying, doing math is so stimulating to the brain. It literally stimulates the brain. but you're not going to activate those supernatural powers if you have tension. So you have to relax. You have to be as limber as a ballerina, because what you're doing is you're activating something in your brain and your body, and it's your body is like a system. When God was creating the world, he was relaxed. He wasn't doing I know for a fact, because I know that nowadays I can only move better and I can think better and I can think faster now that I'm not only sober, but I'm more relaxed. I'm also tapping into my past memories, past life progressions, because I read somewhere how to be psychic, or how to read the future, or your past is by relaxing your body. I learned that from the internet, from a woman that I Googled it, and there was this white woman, and she said, you have to relax your body. And ever since then, I've focused on relaxing my body and removing the tension from every piece of my body. When I started to remove the tension, guess what? I activated something in my body that voices started to come out. I started to hear voices, and they said that was the price that I had to pay to be on the other side. Now I'm on the other side without the voices. The voices were the demons. We were entering an entity where there are spiritual beings. It's crazy. I'll explain the rest later. I need to rest.
And just be fit, right? You have to be consistent about it. But you also have to challenge yourself, because your mental muscles grow through challenge. But what makes consistency and challenge better is a third C, which is coaching. Coaching. The best in the world have a coach. You know, the best singers have a voice coach. The best business people have a business coach, right? You have your health and fitness coach. I want to be your super brain coach. I want to be your personal trainer for your most valuable asset in the world, which is your brain. Remember, we started this conversation saying, if you could learn any subject or skill faster, what would it be? Just like asking a genie, you would ask for more wishes. The closest thing that would give you more wishes is learning how to learn. And that's what this program is all about. It's about bite-sized lessons every single day for 30 days to change your habit completely. Because first you create this habit of having a super brain, and then it creates you right back. And so every single day is very specifically designed to jumpstart your brain so you can jumpstart your day, so you can have better focus, so you can have greater productivity. And so this is what we focus on. We do lessons on, for example, how to have focus when you read, because leaders are readers, right? But people can't remember what they read. How do you remember what you read? We do lessons, for example, on how to learn another language. A lot of people, they want to learn a second or third language. Maybe they're doing international business. Maybe they want to travel abroad. How do you learn that language 200 or 300% faster? And so, again, stay to the end of this, because we're going to show you a very small clip of what you're going to get and how to remember names, because remembering names and faces is critical. I mean, just forgetting someone's name could kill a sale or hurt a relationship.
I usually learn languages, and I haven't learned too much, but how I learned English was through hanging around English speakers and also listening to music. Listening to Spanish songs. Music is the fastest, most effective way for you to learn a language, because it has a melody that replays in your brain, right? That sounds good. And when you listen to the Spanish music, or if you listen to French music, first you got to learn how to pronunciate. And once you learn how to pronunciate, and usually through music you learn to pronunciate, that's one thing, but everybody learns different. Hold on. Hello.
Vital update for you. This is Amelia with Community Housing Grants, and your plan is currently in high-risk status for expiration. But if you act now,
relationship. So let's say you walk into a room and you have conversations with people, but a lot of people, they forget the conversations, and they're like, oh, I forgot what I needed to do. I forgot what I needed to say. And so these memory lapses, what happens is, I believe two of the most costly words in your life are I forgot. I forgot. I forgot to do it. I forgot to bring it. I forgot that conversation. I forgot that meeting. I forgot that anniversary. I forgot that person's name. Every single time you say those words to yourself, you lose time, you lose productivity, you lose credibility, and you lose income also, an opportunity. And so my goal with this program is really to fix your forgetfulness, is to be able to clear the mental fog, is to be able to get rid of that fatigue so you could show up the way you're supposed to be able to show up. And we call that your super brain. Because yes, it's going to teach you to memorize anything that you want to be able to memorize, but not just memorize it, to really understand it so you could apply it easily and effectively. If you're watching this now, you're a special person. You've gotten to the end. You are a completer. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I want to give you mad respect, and I appreciate it because that's how people learn, because you have to show up. But the other thing you have to do is you have
and also you're right. And also I'm very intrigued by mathematical, like just lessons, things about the brain, and that's what's intriguing to me. And there's a lot of things that you guys said in the beginning that just really caught my attention, where I'm like, wow, I'm interested in this. I'm like a super mathematician. Like I can't wait till I'm better. But one thing you have to know is people are numbered. And a lot of times, whenever you start studying and whenever you start getting greater, you meet other geniuses that try to challenge you, making your life harder. So you have to be physically and mentally prepared to defend and protect yourself. Not only that, when I do math and when I get into problem solving, I begin to get high. I get high and my brain starts to do amazing things, and I stay awake and I start seeing the future and the skies, and it's crazy. It's unbelievable. So I have to first relax my body before entering those parts of the world and
take action and play full out. So if you want to join this program, the reason why I'm so excited about it, yes, you remember facts, figures, foreign languages, and all that.
And I do, sorry for the interruption, and I do want to join the program one day in the future. Right now, I'm still, maybe I'll sign up, but I'm still working on recovering from the drug abuse. I never abused drugs, but I was drugged and raped, and I had to get all this dirt and stuff from the drugs and the things out of my system. And how I'm doing that is through acupuncture. And every day I sleep on hard objects. You know, in China, in the Chinese massage therapies, they use needles. Needles is not enough to take the toxins out. You have to break into that tissue. You have to sit on something hard. And usually you have to first get on release the endorphins, or if that's the right word, like the best, you have to get the part that feels the best, and sit on a rock and let it massage through the tension and relax that part of your body. Most people, it would hurt, but it's because they're still very, very, very tense in their body. But if you use, you're going to need tattoo numbing cream, a whole bunch of stuff to be able to, because once you tear that muscle, it might be sore. Because I went through soreness after I tear the tissue in my muscles. I start getting sore. So there's a lot of things that you need. You're gonna need some ibuprofen or something to take on the inside because when you get sore, it feels horrible. It feels like a knife is cutting through your skin, and it just doesn't feel good. So you want to have all the right tools, and you have to dedicate. You can't do it once in a while. This is now your life until you become as flexible as a ballerina. Nowadays, we chose to learn. Some people chose to learn instead of dancing and getting flexible. So they're starting late. Remember, your biggest competition is life. So can you go on, right? You don't want to reach 60 and have a hunchback. You don't want, because you were sitting in a chair all your life studying because you got lost in the brain, lost in, just like Beyonce, she's lost in her music, but she doesn't really see that we have a bigger job to do than to watch her dance. If you educate people, they're going to be smart, but people don't want to educate people because they feel like people are a threat to their existence. But that's not true. Once you learn and you know about karma, you're not going to want to mess up. Trust me.
information. You have a youthful brain that it really can have so much impact on your productivity, your performance, your peace of mind, your profitability. But also the other things you want to remember besides those are three things. You want to remember your loved ones, right? One of my reasons why I'm doing this is my grandmother had Alzheimer's. And when she passed away when I was a young child, she didn't even remember my name. And she didn't even recognize me. And growing up with those kind of, my inspiration really was my desperation, because I was struggling with all these things. And I understand, as a kid, I'm struggling with it. And then I see this, is this genetic? Am I going to have to realize this? And then what I realized, though, in the research is only 1/3 of your mental potential, your memory, is predetermined by genetics and biology, but 2/3 is completely in your control. And I just came back from doing a program at the Cleveland Clinic, the Center for Brain Health. And in America, that's like the place. They do all the research on Alzheimer's and dementia, and they do the best caregiving. And I was there training their doctors, their caregivers, their patients on how to have this super brain through prevention, right? All the things you could do now so you don't have to deal with those things later. And so you want to remember your loved ones. The second L you want to be able to remember why super brain is so important is your life. Because if your life is worth living, it's worth remembering. And most people, they don't remember those moments, those magical moments that really affected them. They don't even remember what they had for breakfast. And that's not normal. So I want to be able to fix that so you can remember your life. Bruce Lee
And
said
also,
that immortality is for...
and also, that's what cameras are for. A lot of the celebrities, look how much richer they've gotten by sharing and creating content. Creating content is more than just sharing with the world. It's also reminding you of the things that you did and helping you remember in case you were to have Alzheimer's, people don't even remember who they are. But when you watch, because you recorded it, you can see yourself even and do these things. And you're like, wow, can you believe this? This is me. A lot of people today don't remember who they were in their past life. It's like a form of Alzheimer, but it's not Alzheimer. They forgot. They were born again, and they had to forget who they were in order to be who they are now. But now it's time to remember who you are. It's called an awakening, right?
Living a life worth remembering.
So yes, I'm sorry. Record. Don't just say remember. You have to actually put those memories into action. That's what movies are for. That's what recording people act. That's what Hollywood is brilliant. Hollywood is for. People think Hollywood is a game, but it's something that helps people have memories of themselves, right? It's a major. The internet never forgets. It doesn't erase. Only the people that are behind the social media are the ones that delete. But I've had my channels since 2016, and I can see how I looked at 2016 versus now. Also taking pictures.
So you have your loved ones, you have your life. The third thing I would say, the reason...
Because, I'm so sorry again, okay? Because, what is it called? Relying on your brain alone is not smart. You can't rely on just your brain, especially in a world where people are smoking weed. You can easily pass by and get contact. You know what I mean? So there's so much that could happen. That's why we isolate ourselves and live in a place where people don't smoke. There are people that break some rules and still smoke hookah and things like that. And that's what sucks about it. But I don't get out of my apartment and I don't hang around people that smoke because I don't want a single drug to ever enter my brain again.
Have a super brain is to remember your lessons. There's this quote about insanity, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times. It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's, for me, is like you going around learning how you've always been learning. It's like, why would you do that? We grew up with a 20th century education that hasn't changed in like 200 years. It was cookie cutter, one size fits all. Everyone's the same. Don't talk to your neighbor. But we live in an age of electric cars and spaceships that are going to Mars. But our vehicle of choice when it comes to learning is like a horse and buggy. Right. And people they don't learn that way. And so how do you make it more active? And I would say is, insanity is that same thing. Why read the same way you're reading and getting sleepy and your mind wanders? Why keep on forgetting names? Why doing the same path? And someone told me, we were talking about this, like, Jim, that's not insanity, doing the same thing.
And real quick, my apologies again. The reason why people do that is because there was somebody else fighting for your attention. somebody else is trying to group other. In this world, there is it's just like a math problem. There is somebody else, maybe not a math problem, but yeah, like there is somebody else trying to pull your attention. Everybody's fighting to have you there. They might not know that it's you they're pulling, but whatever you did yesterday, whoever you met, your mind took a picture of that moment, and now that moment is competing with your current moment, and that's where the challenge begins. So you have to stretch. Every day I stretch so that I like whenever I'm stretching with my legs, stretching feels better than going out. Stretching feels better. Like, I don't know if I should say I'm sold out. I would say that because that's not the right word, but I would say stretching feels so amazing that I feel like I'm on absolute vacation. No vacation place can pull me because there's nothing that feels better than my flexibility. It feels so good. It didn't always feel this good, but that acupuncture, sleeping on hard objects, is definitely helped break the tissue. And how I got to that point was by working hard in lifting weights. Once you lift those weights, you build stronger tissue, but I don't think you have to do that to get here. But yeah, and then you don't feel pain anymore. Once you get past that your muscles tear, they grow back and they become stronger, and it feels good versus it hurting.
Over and over again, expecting a different result. That's the result of a poor memory, because you're not remembering the lessons. So how many people watching make the same mistakes in their relationship, or they date the same person because they're not remembering the lesson from the previous lesson? Or maybe they're making the same financial mistakes. They're just repeating that over and again. Or they're making the same health mistakes. They're eating the same bad foods or not working out because you don't remember the lessons. And so part of having a super memory, or a super brain, if you will, is just keys are just being a better person, meaning care about a person, you remember their name, and also be present. So this is the art of memory, is the art of attention. If you feel like you're distracted, you don't have the focus in your life, you can't get things done, you come home at night and your to-do list, you didn't even get anything checked off, and you're wondering what happened, and you want the opposite, you want to come home and you want to come fresh and you want to be confident. You're like, someone says, how was your day? You're like, I crushed it. And part of that comes from unlocking this thing called your super brain. It is your greatest gift for yourself, for your family, for your work, and for the world.
Thank you, Jim. So ask yourself this question, right? How much would it be worth to you if you could automatically remember what you needed to say? If you were giving an important speech, if you were getting on stage because you have this super brain, what would it be worth to you if you woke up every morning and you knew exactly what to do to train your brain to function at higher levels of processing so that you are smarter throughout the day? What would it be worth to you to have greater brain health so you reduce the odds of age-related diseases impacting your brain? What would it be worth to you to be able to remember names and faces better so that everybody remembered you as that person that made them feel important? What would it be worth to you to be able to become so sharp in terms of your idea generation, your memory, that immediately your performance at work goes up, your career starts rising, your salary starts going up? What would it be worth to you to be able to have a better vocabulary and to be able to remember languages better so you can pick up the next language? I'm actually about to go in a course to study Estonian, which is the language from the country where my wife is born. And I've been afraid to take this course, but I'm taking Superbrain, and then I'm taking my Estonian course as soon as I'm done with Superbrain. What would it be worth to you to be able to remember numbers better, facts, figures, data? What would it be worth to you to be able to read at twice the rate and remember information at twice the rate? That alone makes this program worth so much.
Yeah, I think that session alone, that one day out of the 30-day plus, is worth it alone.
And for those of you who are new to Mindvalley, know that Mindvalley, it doesn't just bring you the best teachers. Jim obviously is the guy who's training all of these incredible people around the world. Just check out his Instagram. But we also have what is perhaps the most sophisticated learning platform in the world. When you go in this program, we don't let you sit behind and not practice it. Our completion rates for our program are up to 500% better than traditional online courses. And this is through the Quest methodology, where you're going on a 30-day journey, a 30-day transformation with 2,000 other students. We all start on the same day, and every day you get coached by Jim for 10 to 20 minutes. every day, and each day stacks up. And then you get access to a community where all 2,000 students are sharing ideas and insights, and that is so inspiring. People actually make friends in this community, and we've seen people travel to other countries to visit friends that they make. Now, combining all of this, the micro-learning, the platform, the community with the technology. It comes with an Apple TV app as a bonus. It comes with an iPad app, an Android app, and an iPhone app. And you can also, of course, watch this on Mindvalley Home on your desktop as well. So there's no excuse. You can listen to this when you're on the road. And all of that is just a bonus. What you will see is that at the end of 30 days, you experience a massive shift. Now, we're so confident about this, Jim, that we are able to promise this to our students. If you even have the slightest bit of hesitation, jump on this, because not only are you going to get one of the best pricing out there, this program is worth, because it's a coaching program, it's worth upwards of $1,000. But if you look at the pricing below this page, you'll see the massive discount you're getting. So all the information's in below. Go ahead and enroll, and we'll see you in the Superbrain Quest. Now, I want to share with you, with the audience, a couple of other really exciting things. This program is coming with a number of different bonuses. When you enroll today, you get bonus 1, which is Jim training you on how to overcome procrastination. Jim, why is this important?
Well, a lot of us are going out there, we're trying to achieve things, but we put things off. I mean, if you're not getting the things that you need to get done when you need to get it done, then you're not being effective. And there's a difference between being a thermostat and a thermometer. A thermometer is just something that reacts to the environment and responds to the environment. But a thermostat is different. It sets a standard, it sets a vision, it sets a goals, and you have a lot of tasks to be able to accomplish. And then all of a sudden the environment rises to be able to meet that. And if you're watching this, I see you as a thermostat and not a thermometer, because you're making things happen. So this bonus is worth the entire course alone, because if you can't get things done, then you're in a prison. So I teach you the 5 keys to smash procrastination so you get things done and get it done quickly.
And that's just one of several bonuses. You also get a second bonus, which is called your 8 C's to muscle memory. Tell us about that.
So this is a really fun bonus. A lot of people, like when we're talking about memory, it's about logical, cerebral things. But what about people who want to learn new dance or a martial arts or a new exercise, of physical movements? And so this is going to fast track your results and shortcut your results to be able to get things in your body so you can learn things like aerobics or dance.
Or dance moves or Zumba or martial arts. That's so funny. And then the third bonus is the one I'm waiting for most, because remember when Jim started this masterclass, he told you that the first thing he does when he wakes up is remember his dreams. And I'm thinking, I've been trying to remember my dreams for 3 decades. So the third bonus is on remembering your dreams. How about that?
Because remember, you're coming up with creative solutions for your problems. You're integrating these things, coming up with inventions and incredible things for your business. But if you're forgetting it first thing in the morning, then you're at a huge disadvantage. So I'm going to show you the 6 keys for remembering all your dreams.
So stay tuned, because we're going to give you a bonus snippet from this quest on remembering faces. But first, we know that when we are unrolling a quest like this, there are 4 common questions that people ask, right? And Jim, I want you to spend just a minute or so just addressing these questions. The first one is, who is this quest for?
Okay, so this quest is for 2 kinds of people. The people that we tend to attract are people either who are struggling. They're struggling and they're suffering. They're wondering why they're working so hard, but they're not getting quite the results that they show up. And it doesn't matter if you're a student, a senior, an educator, or an entertainer, a CEO, or a celebrity, or anyone between. It's for anyone who has a brain that they feel like there's more, that you feel like there's a specialness inside of you. You just haven't been able to unlock it. That's the program for you. The other kind of people who join this quest are the people who are already successful. They're mega successful, the kind of clients that I work with, and they want that edge. They want that advantage, because people are working really hard to take them off the top, and they want to be able to sustain their success over time. Not just attain it, but sustain it. So it doesn't matter. This will work for you regardless of your age, your background, your career, your diet. This was designed for everybody that has a brain that wants to make it super.
Now, the second thing is, how fast do you see results?
Okay, so this is the exciting part, okay? Even from the first few days, you could get a major result. And you won't, it's so interesting. One different idea might not seem like a big shift, but over time, let's say 30 days, you have reached a certain different destination or a destiny. So little shifts don't seem like a lot, but over 30 days, it's very big. So the little things that you learn, even in the first 10 days, will absolutely transform your life. It's really about transcending. Transcending, which is ending the trance. Ending the trance that you're not good enough, that you're not smart enough, that you're too old, or you're not having the genetics. This will give you that advantage.
And I can attest to that because just one conversation with this man shifted the way I remember faces and names. And you're going to learn that 10 minutes. So the next question is, how much time commitment will this involve?
Okay, so the time commitment, this is the best part. It's bite size. If you don't have 10 or 20 minutes to be able to make your life easier, then this program is not for you. Or you should probably buy 2 of them because you really need this program. But this is for you or your family if you want to be able to make more time. Because being more efficient and be able to remember things, where you put things, a lot of people actually waste an incredible amount of time. Where did I put this? Where's the meeting? They lose all this track. It only takes about 10 or 20 minutes to be able to get these kind of results every single day.
And finally, I want to just add this. This program is 10 to 20 minutes a day, which is the methodology we use for Quest. But this program, after the first week itself, it's adding time to your life. Yeah. I can attest to this. It's adding time because you operate at such a higher level of efficiency that you buy back your life. It's incredible when you think about it that way. And I also want to state this, and I'm going to make a very important promise here. I set a goal at Mindvalley with our team that every program we put out would have to be the singular best program in the world of its type. And we engineered this program with Jim, who I believe is the single greatest coach in this genre. And we put it on the Mindvalley Quest platform, which I believe is the single best learning platform in this field. One of Mindvalley's other aims is to touch 1 billion lives. And we know that not everybody can afford a $2,000 program. We want to give you something that you can afford because we know that every single person who buys this program, every mom, every dad, every boss, every manager, you're going to be teaching these techniques to your team members, to your kids. Imagine what would happen if your children learn this. So when you buy this program, you are also gaining the ability to teach others. So I want you to invest in this program and compare it to any program in speed learning, even $2,000 or $10,000 programs. Our aim is to produce the very best in the world, the de facto standard that we're getting out to schools and companies all across the world. And I believe in this, man. So all of that information is below. Go ahead and enroll in Superbrain by Jim Quick and Mindvalley. So I wanted to give you a sneak peek of what you're going to find inside Jim Quick's Superbrain. In part 1, you begin your journey by understanding the true definition of learning and memory and what it takes to build new learning pathways. You learn the 10 little-known factors that influence how strong or weak your memory is. You'll discover the easiest way to memorize any chunk of information and keep it in your mind. In part 2, you learn how to make brain training a part of your lifestyle. You learn powerful techniques that set you apart as a memory expert. You'll notice changes in the way you work and interact with others. You'll begin to optimize the physiological elements of memory, including food, movement, sleep. All of these influence your learning and your memory. And you'll learn a bulletproof technique to remove negative thinking from your mind. Part 3 is all about remembering lists. Long lists can seem impossible to remember until you discover the simple party trick for memorizing any list, no matter the length or content. You'll start implementing the single most powerful memory strategy known to man and build upon it. It's called chain linking. It's a method for rapidly absorbing large amounts of information and retaining it in your mind. I've used chain linking to memorize entire speeches and talks hour-long without having to resort to a script or a piece of paper. Now, in part 4, you're going to finally master remembering names. You'll go from embarrassment of forgetting names to the respect and admiration you get from remembering everyone's name perfectly, even if you just met them once. You learn several techniques that you can stack on top of one another, including the FDR technique, and how to reinforce your memory by putting data in your body. Now, part 5 is going to increase your vocabulary and ability to learn languages at rapid speeds. You learn Jim's ultimate tip for learning any language, even the hard ones, and the keyword substitution method that accelerates mastery of languages. And you'll learn the most important step to expanding your vocabulary, and it has nothing to do with reading a dictionary. So part 6 is a biggie. It's memorizing speeches and text. Delivering a speech from the heart instead of a piece of paper makes all the difference and allows you to impress, to persuade, and inspire a room full of people.
Definitely. I love that. And we're running out of time here. So we have 58 We did a full hour of recording this. Thank you so much for sharing this message with us. And, in the future, I'll definitely keep this on my social media for others to hear, and also for me to sign up when I'm ready. I was going to say, reading from the heart. Yeah, that's something that they teach you also for acting classes, et cetera, et cetera. Once you memorize a script, you familiarize yourself with it, and you become the script. You become the character. You enter the character, and you suddenly it's a skill. So I think you should definitely you guys should take the class if you feel like you're that person that is ready to sit in class and sit through the lessons, and you're passionate about learning and getting better. I'm very passionate about it, but if I feel like I'm ahead of certain lessons, I don't know how